Go Gopher Podcast with Mike Grimm, episode number 127. I am Mike Grimm, voice of the Golden Gophers, and welcome back to the podcast. And I'm really excited to welcome back to the Go Gopher Podcast Gopher women's basketball star player Mara Braun, who along with her teammates are now well into their summer workout routine. She's been a guest on the podcast before, and she brings the heat again this episode. Braun also brings a level of excitement and anticipation into the season, which will get underway in November. But we'll have a summer update with Mara Braun coming up. Our Go Gopher podcast is presented by alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're a business founder planning to exit your business, start by contacting Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. Sunbelt serves more businesses up to $5 million in revenue than anyone, and True North M&A serves companies with revenues up to $150 million. You can get a confidential, no-cost, no-obligation business valuation started today. Hey, make the most of your life's work. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com today. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union is also a big sponsor of the Go Gopher podcast. Life math is complicated, and Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union makes it easier with local financial experts available to help in person or virtually. You can go to affinityplus.org/Go Gophers for more info. That's affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. Affinity Plus supports Gopher athletics in so many ways, not just by simply supplying sponsorship to this Go Gopher podcast, but also with support of the athletes themselves, including our guest today, Mara Braun, who's an ambassador for Affinity Plus through name, image, and likeness. It's fun to see Gopher supporters supporting Gopher athletics and seeing results. We're podcasting episode 127 from the Aquarius Home Services studio. We invite you to subscribe to the Go Gopher podcast. It's free to do so. You can also go back and listen to the previous Go Gopher podcast. Last week, for example, we had a terrific update on the men's basketball program and their summer workouts. Head coach Ben Johnson was my guest last week, and there's still a lot of timely conversation within that episode, so go back and have a listen if you haven't already. This week, we're talking Golden Gopher women's basketball. Another summertime update. Star player Mara Braun of Wayzata will join me next.
I'm Clay Geary, walk-on turned scholarship wide receiver for Gopher football.
And I'm Ben Utek, U of M alumni, Super Bowl champion, and Tony Dungy Uncommon Award winner.
We understand championship culture, which is why we're part of the True North family of companies.
True North invests in only elite teams, like the champion team at Sunbelt Business Advisors, Minnesota's largest seller of companies. To learn more about True North and our diverse family of independently owned companies, visit TrueNorthEquityPartners.com.
Beta Bay Boat Club offers a limited number of season-long memberships in our private club and half-day or full-day pontoon boat rentals on Lake Minnetonka. Members have the opportunity to play on luxurious pontoon boats as well as a variety of well-appointed deck boats, speedboats, and offshore boats. Our daily pontoon boats are deluxe, custom-built boats with many amenities and comfortable seating for up to 14 people. Beta Bay Boat Club, Country Club Boating, 24 years in business and voted Minnesota's best 3 years in a row. Please visit us at betabayboatclub.com for more information. We look forward to welcoming you this summer.
Episode 127, the Go Gopher podcast. It's our pleasure to welcome Mara Braun to the show, back to the show, a return guest. It's just a little less than a year ago that you were on after your world travels of last summer. Good to see you again.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
So the first question I'm sure that you get, and you're probably sick of answering, is how is the foot and the leg and how you feeling and how are summer workouts going?
I feel really good. Getting incorporated back into practice, getting, that trust, that confidence back in my foot, and it's been feeling really good. So I'm just really excited about that.
Are you mostly at full go? Can you do just about everything you need to?
Yeah, just about everything. We're still being smart about it. We've got a long ways until the season, so just easing into things, which is hard for me because I'm pretty impatient and I just want to get after it, but trusting the doctors and my trainers to know, that they know what to do.
Yeah.
But going with that, and like I said, I'm pretty much in everything.
Do they say, hey, take a day off to let it rest, or is it pushed through it?
We don't necessarily have basketball every single day, so on those days we don't. That's when it's kind of load management, make sure that I'm not pounding too much and doing extra things that I shouldn't be doing. And my trainer also has to be like, all right, so this means you can't be getting extra shots up or getting extra jumping on that foot and doing that stuff. So that can be kind of hard and tough for me, but just being smart about it.
Yeah. We mentioned you were a world traveler. It was last August. You were on the podcast. It was throughout much of the summer. You were in China, Mongolia. Eventually you went to Croatia and Greece with the Gophers. It was 3-on-3. You won a gold medal, right?
Yep.
I mean, so looking back on that, how much of a positive experience was that? You just mentioned before we came on, you're getting the good old phone memories a year ago today, here and there. So what? How much did that help you from a confidence standpoint?
A lot. It was just a really fun experience. I think it kind of gave me a whole new look at the game. Obviously, 3-on-3 is a much different game, really fast. It's just right up my alley, and it was just a lot of fun. It was pretty refreshing just to get out and play with some other people and figure out other dynamics, and then be able to take that and come back to my team. And we were talking about then I went right to Greece and Croatia, and then so I was kind of flipping back and forth between the two, which I think was good for me too. But it helped a lot. Went into last season confident, obviously went through a little adversity, but I think using this summer to kind of build that back up will be important.
As we're getting ready to watch Olympic basketball, they have a 3-on-3. So, and I don't know how it all works because I know there's age groups. I forget what age group you were at. Was it under 20 or something?
Yeah, 21.
And then there's another age group. I see Cameron Brink, I think, just got hurt, so she was off the team. Was that ever a possibility for you on the Olympic team, or is that something that may have to come later on 3-on-3? Obviously, down the road, you'd love to get on the 5-on-5 team, I suppose.
Yeah, that's just something that I've dreamt of, playing for the U.S. team. And so being able to kind of get my foot in the door a little bit. And obviously those girls, there's a lot of veteran 3-on-3 players that are on that roster. And Cam got hurt, which I feel terrible for her, but I know she'll come back stronger. But being able to watch them will be fun. And then hopefully in the future that could be me too.
Yeah. And like you say, you get your foot in the door too, because you just understand how it operates, and you will have a leg up maybe on some others in terms of the 3-on-3 because you've played it too at a high level and had success, right?
Yeah, and it's fun too. We play 3-on-3 in practice. Coach P likes to play 3s and 4s, and so I get to have a little extra practice with that. Obviously, it's not the same dynamic of getting the ball out of the hoop and just playing like that, but maybe in the future. I know we did that last summer. Yeah.
If people want to go back, it was last August, and we went into detail about the differences of the game and got to be in really, I remember you were saying how in shape you have to be because it's such a fast game. Not that you're wouldn't be in shape for the 5-on-5 full court game either, but people can go back and do a search and find that because it is pretty interesting. So you're in the summer drills, summer school has started. You've got some newcomers. You've got the great returning base of players. So just give me a general synopsis. Is this week 2 or 3 now that you guys have officially been back? As we're talking, it's a Friday, by the way, if people wonder, but
2. Yeah, I think it's 2.
Everyone's looking around like that. I think 2, maybe 2. It doesn't matter, but you've been in it for a bit now. So what's the general thought here? What you see from you and your teammates?
It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun together. The new girls have come in and meshed well with us. Just figuring out each other's games, and we have, like I was talking about, we just have so many different types of players that it's really fun to be able to explore that, and hoping this year we can get up and down the floor and play faster. We've got some freshmen coming in. Tori McKinney, super fast. Kenna's just a scorer. So, and then obviously we've got the transfers and Taylor being able to come in and just seeing her confidence. She's looking like the Taylor I played in high school. So that's really fun. And then Ani, played with her in high school. Great shooter. She kind of gives us a different look there from the post. And then obviously Lex, and then who do we have? Jordan. So those two have been really fun to get to know also. And I don't know, I'm just really positive. I'm thinking really positively about this season and just what we have. And just like we have great people, and the chemistry of this team is something that's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, and so important too, right? You get that close. I think we see that in the Minnesota Lynx now, that if you have a chemistry and it looks like those guys are getting along on and off the court, and maybe that sum of the parts can elevate. I think the Lynx are doing that. There's more talented teams, probably. I mean, obviously, Nafisa Collier is very talented, and Kayla McBride's having like an MVP kind of a season. But you look at it, that they are playing as a unit. As we're talking on Friday, they did lose to Dallas yesterday. Dallas had lost 11 straight. Sometimes that happens. Just WTO, they're up 15 at one point. But that said, generally, we see what happens when players all get on the same page. Probably why these summer workouts right now and here are important for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have those top prospects. We're not getting those top, transfers and things that you're seeing like the other Big Ten teams. But for us, it's just using that cohesion and the chemistry of what we have and the base that we have that, we're all loyal to each other and, they're all like my sisters. So having that, I think is really going to set us apart. And then on top of that, Coach always just preaches, doing the little things and doing all the little things really well, because ultimately we're going to have to do that to be able to be successful.
Yeah, and you have some pretty good talent too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if not top prospects, but there are. I mean, you were in this number 10 ranked recruiting class. And now maybe all four of you can finally be healthy on the same year and see what happens. But there is some talent there, and then when you get that talent mixing, then who knows, right?
Yeah, I think that's the huge thing is keeping everyone healthy. We've been in the weight room a lot more, especially for me since I got hurt. Like I really was like, all right, I need to get stronger just so my bones and my muscles can keep up with how much I've been playing and things like that. So I've really seen a big difference. Coach has been talking to me about it too, being able to stay on my line easier and being able to kind of bump people off of theirs. So that's been kind of fun to be able to see it's working. So that's a big thing this summer for us is just getting stronger so we're able to withstand, the physicality.
Last year at this time when we did this podcast, you were basically trying to learn the new system, what the expectation of the coach was, all of that, which I'm sure is stressful. Probably energizing though, right? There's some newness to it. Now, a year later, what's the comfort level like for you and Amaya and these returners, knowing now, okay, this is what the coach wants, this is how we go about it. Even like if I'm assuming drills, here's how we run drills. Maybe there was new stuff there. Everybody's like a freshman for a while. Now you know what's going on. How much different is it this time of year now than it was last year?
Yeah, we're starting to get it, especially that main core that we've been talking about. We're understanding her concepts and the terminology. So all the new girls coming in, like we can be extra coaches for Coach P. And I think that's been really helpful. And we know, obviously, there's not enough Coach P's to go around. So having all of us to be there with each person, they like to split us all up. So there's at least one, veteran, I guess, in each group. So we can kind of teach and help each other out and hold each other accountable.
Yeah, PJ Fleck uses this term a lot. I don't think it's an original to him. I know other coaches have said it, but I would think it would maybe fall into the category with you guys now that you have a year under your belt. And I think he says teams with no leaders are not very good. Teams that are coach-led can be okay. Teams that are player-led are usually championship teams. Are you seeing the player-led situation now that everyone knows what's
absolutely? Yeah, and Coach P, I mean, she's always on me to be vocal and to be kind of that person. And, I tend to get frustrated and get down on myself. So just knowing that she sees that within me and being able to trust myself and then go out and spread it out to my teammates. So that's something that I'm really working on, is being that person that everyone can look to and like, all right, we're okay. Like we can get through this. So yeah, I think that's a big step that we need to take as a team, and being that player-led team, not having to look at them all the time, but being like, all right, we've been here, we know what we're doing, like we got this.
Yeah, I've got some more questions along those lines that I'm going to save for a minute, but I want to talk more about this group of newcomers. You went through them all. We don't have to talk about all of them, but what is the key to mixing and matching and making sure you get to that mesh point that you want? And what have you seen from that group in terms of how they can help?
Everyone just wants to compete. I think the competitiveness this summer compared to the past summers is at an all-time high for this group. We have a lot of depth now, which we haven't necessarily had in the past. And so people are fighting for positions, which I think is really fun and really competitive. Any given day, a certain group can win. I think we've talked about before on the podcast, but, we have winners per day and the winners of the week and things like that. So that makes it competitive too, where, like I said, any given day, someone else can win. So.
Yeah. All right. A couple of offbeat questions. Then I'm going to come back to this team and you specifically. But we mentioned the links. I saw some social media posts from the Gopher account. You guys were at a game recently. I don't know, maybe the last couple of weeks. How close do you follow? Is that your team? I mean, how close do you follow it? them and the W.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's getting closer and closer to that time that I could potentially get drafted and go out to some training camps and doing things like that. So it's kind of surreal when I go to games, kind of keeping an open mind to seeing different playing styles and different teams and coaches and what they like to do and seeing kind of how my game can incorporate into these teams. So it's a very different viewpoint. I remember doing that, in high school when I'm going to college, and now it's college to the WNBA. So it's kind of crazy. I got to go to I was courtside on one of the games against Dallas, and just the size of the girls, I was like, oh my goodness.
It's a physical league too, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. But just seeing, where I am now and where I need to be, but it's exciting.
So I'm going to put you on the spot then, as long as we're going down this road. If you picture yourself on certain rosters, how do you envision yourself as a player? Like, what are your strengths, and how do you then judge, okay, if you watch Dallas, I could fit there because I have this skill, or the Liberty's in town, or you're watching on TV. How do you see yourself as a player?
Yeah, I think more so I see myself in the other types of players. J.C. Sheldon was obviously one of my favorites in the Big Ten. She's just got the energy, and she's picking girls up full court, and she brings that spark for Dallas. And so seeing her, like, all right, I think I could do something like that. And then Sabrina's obviously one of my favorites. So watching her, that team likes to get up a lot of threes. So it kind of depends. I mean, I would love to play fast and shoot some threes. Yeah. But there are also the teams that take advantage of the inside and have the big girls. So it kind of depends. I don't know. That's a tough question, but everyone asks me, would you want to play for the Lynx and stay here? And that'd be awesome. But I also think going somewhere else and experiencing, I've been here my whole life, so experiencing that, and I could see myself coming back, but either way, I don't think you could really go wrong.
No doubt. And now as you say, I know yesterday in the news conference, you're like, I can't believe I'm going to be a junior already. Time flies. You're an upperclassman. How do you walk that line now of okay, I'm going to look out my right side of my eye, and I see this great goal of WNBA, hopefully get drafted, hopefully get on a roster, contribute, play fast, all that, to, okay, out of the left side, we've got business to take care of here. I know you and Amaya talked about the tournament is maybe the big goal, and last year you're on track for that, and then things kind of went haywire with injuries and such. So how do you balance, okay, this is where I want to head, but I'm on this road right now?
Yeah, it is something you have to definitely think about. For me right now, my main focus is this team and where I'm at, where my feet are at. And we just constantly say, it's go time now. We only have a few years left. And obviously we've learned a lot from the past, and that happened for a reason, but it's time to, turn this around. And we're kind of running out of time here. So it's kind of a hard thing to think about and to grasp, but we're excited for it, and we're encouraged and we're determined. So,
do you? Does it feel like you want to speed it up? Like, let's get there. I would think that would be an emotion. And how do you control that?
Yeah, it's tough. It really is. But Coach P does a great job of keeping us grounded and like, all right, let's take this day by day. It's not just going to come overnight. We saw good things last year, which are encouraging. But I just feel like I just want the season to start already and just to show everyone what we can do, but it'll come. Yeah. So just trusting that.
Combination question. So the Big Ten, just generally, how close have you now seen it with the transfer portal world that we're in? Rosters are changing. Mm-hmm. There's no more Caitlin Clark, but I think they got, I don't know the young lady's name from Villanova who
Lucy
can score.
Olsen.
Yeah, Lucy Olsen. Was she part of the 3-on-3 that you were?
She was my teammate.
So that's what I was thinking. I couldn't remember her name off the top of my head, but so things switch, but yet there's going to be good teams. So how much do you pay attention to what's going on around the league? And look, if you want to make the tournament, and then you got UCLA coming in, USC with Juju Watkins. It's a gauntlet of a league. Right?
It is loaded, that's for sure. But I think that's just what you expect from the Big Ten. It's always been solid, but adding these new teams, and it's hard not to kind of compare rosters and be like, oh, well, we have this, they don't, or they have this and we don't. So that's kind of hard to not do that, but just to stay focused and stay centered on this group and what we have and making the most of it. And then when we get those opportunities to go against them, just to honestly give it our all, because you really have nothing to lose.
Right. No doubt. And last year you're on track. You're, I think at one point they, the mock bracketology had you guys a 7 seed, 8 seed, 6 seed, depending on the week there for a stretch in January and February. So you're on track. And like we said, things went haywire. With the WNBA and the growth now, I mentioned Clark and what she's done, and you've got that rivalry, it seems, with her and Angel Reese from a few years ago. But there's sellouts now. TV ratings have tripled. How cool is that for you as someone that's the aspiration to see this explosion of interest where 3 million people watched that Fever and Sky game last Saturday?
It's a great time to be a women's basketball player. I think that's just something that has grown over the few years, and, credit to players like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and those huge games that got, televised, but they delivered and people are wanting to watch. And so for that to become, something that's nationwide and even worldwide, the women's sport's picking up and it's exciting. It's just a really good time to be a part of it.
Yeah. Let's take a quick minute here to talk about one of our sponsors, one of our main sponsors here on the podcast, who you also have a connection with as kind of, I guess, an ambassador. Affinity Plus is your local credit union, proudly serving Minnesota since 1930. If you're a current Gopher student or a proud Gopher alum, you're eligible to join this financial. As always, they want to build a meaningful banking relationship and put you first. They're just awesome people. You can meet with a local employee at any of their branches statewide, including right off campus here in Minneapolis, just right down University, and as we mentioned, anywhere across the state. You can learn more by going to this webpage, affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. That's affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA, and you're one of their ambassadors through the new name, image, and likeness legislation. You can now partner with folks, and the great people at Affinity Plus have picked you out as one of the Gophers they want to have represent. You go to the webpage and they got your pictures up there. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, they, early on reached out and wanted to work together. So I went over there, did a photo shoot. So that's, where those photos have come from. I got a picture taken of the billboard I was on. Had no idea that was out there, but that was really cool to be able to see.
Did you go drive around looking for yourself?
Yeah, my dad and I did. I was like,
that'd be something. That'd be great.
Yeah, and then I think there's some like by the metro where you get on and off, which I think is funny too. But that's super cool. And they work closely with Special Olympics too, which is a huge selling point for me, and being able to work with them. And we had the Special Olympics game this year, so Affinity helped out with that. And I think going forward, finding out how I can be more involved with that, and maybe doing, a meet and greet or having more just like advertisement for that game in a sense, just to have, more people aware of Special Olympics and what they're all about, because that's something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, that's great. We have Affinity does throughout either women's hoops, men's hoops, hockey. They do a Special Olympics athlete of the game, and it's a little video, and so it's just cool to. And then they're huge in the polar plunge. Have you ever done the polar plunge?
I did it my senior year of high school.
Oh man, I haven't done one yet. I should.
Yes.
But I'm scared I'll jump in and the heart will just stop. No, I know it's safe, but yeah, it's pretty cool what they do.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I was thinking maybe we could get the team to get out there and do it together. I mean, it's pretty much like an ice bath. Yeah. So it's not really. You guys are getting in those tubs full of ice not
anyway,
anything
right?
too crazy. So we'll see if we can do that. That'd be awesome.
Well, we thank Affinity Plus for one, their support of the podcast, and then just supporting the Gophers and student athletes. And I when you mentioned Special Olympics during the news conference yesterday, I thought, that's probably part of the marriage point of this relationship, right? Is that connection for sure. Let's talk about back to you now, talking some more hoops. It's episode 127. The injury last year, and I'm not bringing it up to bring up bad memories, because I think there can be in the darkness maybe some light through there. One, I am going to ask you though, how hard was that to know where you were headed as a team, and then knowing that kind of sidetracked some things to then have to be in street clothes and watch as frankly stuff kind of went not great. Now they did capture some momentum late, and then you got to come in and help. But what was that like for you?
It was tough, especially like you said, where we were headed. That Illinois game, I finally starting to feel like myself. I was kind of in a little slump for a little bit there, and starting to feel like myself. And I was really working on my mentality and just how I went and approached the game. And so for that to happen, and I was feeling really good, and then obviously went down. Tried to stay with it, but I couldn't.
Did you know, like, when you landed, like, could you tell that this wasn't going to be a good deal?
I knew it hurt, but I was like, all right. At first, I'm like, is it my ankle? Like, what is it? And then I realized it was my foot. So then I kept going. I was trying to play defense. I'm really glad they didn't expose me because that could have been bad. But I went up and down a few times. I even waved Maggie off. But I was like, I can't. So then we went back, and our trainer was going to put a plate in it, and I was just going to finish the game. But by the time I went to put my shoe back on, I just couldn't go anymore.
Yeah.
So that was really, really hard. My parents were there, luckily, so I got to see them, and then ended up crutching out. And then the next day we went and got x-rays and scans, and then found out that it was just pretty bad. Could have been worse, but needed surgery, and so that was pretty heartbreaking.
And we started by the podcast today by saying you're feeling good and you're almost full go, and fully expect then when the season gets going, you'll be at 100.
Yeah, I mean, watching for a while, working back into it, I really wanted to play, and so kind of pushing myself a little bit there, obviously tweaked it a little bit, and then I was like, all right, I need to be done, just heal up for the next season. So I've really been focusing on that. Getting healthy, not pushing myself too much. And like I said, I've been feeling really good, so I'm excited.
Is there, again, you would clearly much rather be playing, but was there sometimes I hear players say this, other times players have said, it didn't help, watching from a new perspective, and you watch, I don't know how many games it was, 10 or 12 probably, right? Toward the end.
Something like that.
But
seemed like a lot longer.
I'm sure it seemed like a year, right? But was there at least, some positive benefit from that, where you just see the game from a different view? I mean, your whole life, you've probably been the best player on every team you've been on, and you're playing and getting counted on. Well, now you have to watch everybody, and some stuff's out of your control, but you're maybe view the game differently.
It was nice being able to sit up by the coaches, and honestly, pretty soon after I knew that I would be out for a while, I asked Coach Early, I was like, hey, can I sit by you guys, just to kind of hear that side of it, and being able to help my teammates out. And I think my teammates really looked for me at that time, and when they were struggling, and being able to kind of be that reassurance. And I think a lot of the time I tried to play more of the calm, on the side. Like, I didn't want to get all firing in their faces, because I know for me, like, if that person isn't playing, that is not necessarily helping. So kind of knowing that and knowing where I stand. But I think Amaya was a huge piece that I was really trying to help build up her confidence, because we saw, the Big Ten tournament, she was playing out of her mind, and even in the NIT, she was playing really well. So seeing that, and like, all right, if she keeps this up, like, we're going to be pretty dangerous next year.
Yeah. And total sidebar, in hearing you discuss this, hopefully you have a great year, another great year, great long NBA career. Has hanging out with the coaches, do you think coaching down the road would be something you would want to do?
Yeah, it's always been something that I think I would be pretty good at. I think I've always kind of seen the game through a coach's lens, and I've had a lot of conversations with Coach P about it too. It is definitely a different lifestyle, watching the coaches and the lack of sleep and the traveling and all that's fun stuff, but it is something that I think I'm really passionate about. So trying to find out if that's kind of where I want to take the next steps after playing, or if I want to let that kind of behind me.
Yeah.
But
well, it's coaching, if you're going to win in the Big Ten, if you're going to be a Minnesota head coach, it is a grind. It is a 24-hour every day, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah, the intensity with which you have to go about it. And I know the coaching staff you're playing for now, they're just all in all the time on hoops, right? It's all crazy. Yeah. Okay, so yesterday, as we mentioned, this is Friday. You guys met with the reporters I'm sorry, it was Wednesday that you guys met with the reporters. And Coach Plitza-White mentioned that you earlier mentioned the winner of the day or winners of the day you have at practice, and that you've won it a few times. And then I guess you're supposed to say something if you're the winner. And she commented, and I was really taken by it. I thought it was cool that she says you do basically see the game different, as we just talked about, in terms of the message. Apparently the winner of the day delivers, that it's just a different deal when you win it. Take me through that. Give me an example, if you could, of what she might mean by that.
So it's funny, because that's one of the first practices that she was there. We went through it, the whole practice, and learning all these concepts and different types of things that I wasn't even really sure about. And then, like you said, you'd go into the end. Let's say I was the winner of the day. You say something good about somebody, and if you guys won or lost the day, and just the things I said, I guess she was exactly thinking the same thing. And there's a lot of times where I know what she's thinking and she knows what I'm thinking. And it's kind of funny to go back and forth because she always is like, you're such a smart, like, you know what I mean? So, but it's just, I don't really know like an example right now, but it's just the things that I think are at a different level and are more specific to that person or what that person did that day. Or a lot of them are more generic, this person made their shots today or something like that.
I think that's what she thought. You just saw something that she saw that maybe if 7 other people are watching practice, we'd see something much more general.
Yeah, exactly.
And that you're able to pick out what she's picking out.
Yeah, and we really bond over that. We both think very similarly, which is a little scary. Like I said, we kind of butt heads a little bit, but she's the best.
Yeah, and there's positives in that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes a little friction is okay. You don't want it every day, but if you're trying to work through stuff, that's a good thing.
And we're both just so competitive too. Yeah. So it's like, she'll be, all right, we need to finish this drill. Like if we didn't get a stop, but I'm like, coach, we need to get a stop. So it's going back and forth there. Like,
I know, each other
I know you, but like, come on. And then she'll, eventually give in because she knows she'd do the same thing. And we have Chloe Lamb now on our staff who played for Coach P, and they had that same dynamic. So being able to see them now and trying to think back to what it probably looked like, seems pretty similar.
Yeah, that's awesome. She also said that when they're out recruiting and different things, it might be a week or 2 or a month before you guys get back. Now you're probably seeing everybody every day. That you walked in and she's like, "Dang, you're getting strong. You're looking bigger." But I thought she said something interesting too. She said stronger physically, but she said you just look like you're carrying yourself a little differently too. And I've seen that with athletes. I for a long time had Tyler Newman from the football team. He was highly recruited, came in, looked a little timid as a freshman, and by the end, just the way he walked out of the tunnel, it was like a different guy. And so it's fun to watch athletes develop that way. And so maybe you're developing into just the way you're handling yourself in practice and different things.
Well, and it's cool to see her. She'll pull clips, from practices. We film every practice, and just seeing, not getting bumped off my line like I was talking about, and just like, Tay is really strong, the girl from Michigan. And so she's like trying to bully me around, but being able to come tightly off of curls and, posting up in the lanes, things that I wouldn't necessarily have done right away, maybe have drifted out to the 3 and trying to take the shot or things like that. And even Ty, one of our coaches, is like, "Dang, you're feeling strong," like when I'm going into him in the paint. So it's just nice to be able to hear that, because I've been working really hard on that and really wanted to take strides in the physicality part, because teams are really physical with me and thinking that's the way to kind of beat me. So being able to pass that and get stronger and being able to use that as my advantage is going to be really big for me.
Yeah, so both mentally strong and physically strong. You, as we're recording this, you had just come off of a weightlifting session. You said it's arms day today.
Oh, yeah.
How important is that, maybe even this time of year especially, just can you build some strength and physicality?
It's huge. And like I said, it's something that our team's really taking pride in right now, and being competitive in the weight room, having that same edge on the court versus in the weight room and pushing each other. Like we had a great session today, and people picking up weights they haven't before. And just obviously we have a new strength coach, Feldy, and he's been awesome and just pushing us. And it's just been a lot of fun. And I think we're starting to see a lot of change in how our bodies feel and how we're looking on the court, which is really positive.
Yeah, Feldy was with the men's team for a long time. Then he was at Texas Tech with the men's team for a while as well. So how does that change in terms of maybe there's some new energy there, or just freshness? Not that one person's better than the other, but sometimes a new voice is good.
Yeah, I think, like you said, just the freshness of having someone new. Coach Ham was great. We loved her, but sometimes, things just happen, and you have to kind of turn over a new leaf. And so having him, and we knew him, he was always in the weight room with the men, and we had a great relationship. So we had that period of time where he stepped in, and then we got to have fun with him and just be in the weight room with him. And I always joked like, "Hey, you should just be our strength coach. Like, why are you trying to hire somebody new? And then he surprised us one day and, unzipped his shirt and he had like women's basketball shirt and we just went crazy because we just have a great relationship with him and he's done awesome.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. All right. Last line of questioning for you. You had mentioned Amaya and you, when you were out trying to help push her along, and, we know she's highly talented, and had flashes where you're like, okay, she's going to be a WNBA player, and then flashes where, 7 turnovers and, whatever. But, man, she, in that Big Ten tournament, not only was she now a distributor, she was a couple of 30-point games and down the stretch in the WNIT as well. So how do you think you helped that, one? And two, can that be her now moving forward?
The craziest thing is, coming off of those games, the first thing that she would say to me after is like, I figured it out. I know how to help you. And I think that just shows who she is as a person and just the teammate she is. And she just wants to be so good for everybody else. And I think that's what she gets so down on herself with the turnovers and things like that, because she just wants to be that point guard for us. And so for her to be working as hard as she is and wanting to work on her shot, anytime someone asks her, it's like, we want to be able to help Mara out. We want to be able to, take the shots. Like, she doesn't have to do it all the time. And she's like one of my best friends ever. So I don't know. It's just really cool. And I'm just so proud of her to see where she's taken her game. And obviously we all have those lumps and, turnovers are going to happen, but she's grown so much in over a year.
Do you think that looking to score more will take some of that off her plate, right? I mean, if you're shooting as opposed to trying to always find the open person, there can be benefit to being a scoring point guard.
And a lot of teams were starting to figure out she was pass first, and that was hurting her. That was hurting the turnovers because they knew she was looking for me or looking for G or Mal or whoever it was. So now the fact that they have to trust her and that, they got to respect the shot now and the drive because she's really strong too. So it's going to be really fun. It's going to be a change, but it's going to be.
Do you see the mental part of that then changing for her as well as, I mean, physically you have to, she's worked on the shot and sometimes it might just be take the shot, be confident in it. Do you notice some confidence? Yeah,
I think the biggest thing I can think of was that end of that Nebraska game where I came off of the screen, I had a double, kicked it back to her and no hesitation, just took the shot and sunk it. And I think that just shows that confidence, and the more and more that she shoots and the more she gets those reps, it's going to just become natural for her. Yeah. Well, I'll let you get going. It was great. I appreciate you spending some time with us here. We want to thank Affinity Plus as well, but it's kind of exciting. Do you get a chance here in the summer at some point to kind of step back away from ball and go, I don't know, to a cabin or someplace? Yeah, Mal and I are actually driving up to CG, or I guess down for the 4th. So we'll hang out with Grace for the 4th and just get some time just to chill for a little bit. Well, good deal. Good deal. Thanks so much. Always great to see you. Mara Braun, it's episode 127 of the Go Gopher Podcast. My thanks to Gopher women's basketball standout Mara Braun, who's always so impressive. This is going to be a fun team to watch this fall and winter. Episode 127 is presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're buying or selling a business, visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com. We're also partnered with Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union, a locally member-owned full-service financial invested in you. You can learn more at affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. That's affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. And a reminder, Affinity Plus supports Gopher student athletes like Mara Braun, who's affiliated with Affinity Plus. Again, I'd invite you to listen to past podcasts, and right now, please be sure to click that subscribe button to the Go Gopher Podcast. It's free to subscribe and free to listen at any time, and please share that link to the podcast with others so they can subscribe and listen as well. And if you're enjoying our podcast, please give us some positive feedback wherever you get your podcast. We'll talk again next week.